Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. You know, without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business, and let's wake up the football gods as we sit 56 days, 11 hours, 44 minutes, and 40 seconds away from kickoff of the 2019 season. And damn, it can't get here soon enough. Can the preseason, can the training camp, can this stuff start soon enough? I am sick and tired of all of the BS stuff that we're getting fed these days. You know, let's talk about practice. I know, not a game, not a game. We talk about practice. It's just, it's silly season. There's so many stupid stuff that's done out there to try and keep people talking. I get it. Everybody wants to have people talking. But we've been talking or hearing about, maybe the Cowboys should let Dak walk, or maybe they should let Zeke walk, or things like that, or even Amari Cooper. And I'm going to pose a question. If you could only keep two, which two do you keep? Now, Emily Ann, she's, like Miss Jackie, she shares a whole bunch of stuff. And this is Emily Ann and Miss Jackie, boy, they're passionate about the Cowboys. They get worked up. And I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't want to piss off either of those women because I think, you're going to get your lunch handed to you, so to speak. But let's listen into Speak for Yourself. Just a little taste. I can't take this for long because these guys are idiots. Marcellus Wiley.
Boy, you don't want to argue with Pro Football Focus. I'm just telling you, I'm so glad I retired before this thing came out. Boy, they will break you down.
Man.
And they get it right. They called him, and I quote, profoundly average quarterback. A profoundly average quarterback who's basically dressed up with a defense and a running game. Everything else is putting lipstick on this pig, as they want to say it. I like Dak. I really like Dak. I don't love Dak to the tune of his floor is now $30 million and his ceiling may exceed Carson Wentz and get into the mid-30s in terms of annual.
Look at that. I tell you what, that crap don't even want to play. So, we're going to just drop that. So their whole argument is, you need to cut bait, get rid of Dak, and let him walk. And, just draft another quarterback. And we've all heard, but anyway, let's go through the original question. The Dallas Cowboys have an embarrassment of riches. Let's be honest. I don't know that there's been any time that you've had a quarterback, wide receiver, and running back that are some of the top in the position. And I know that some of you are going to laugh about Dak Prescott being there, but I will say second amount of victories in the last 3 years. And you can look around and say, oh, well, look at, Aaron Rodgers is doing, but Aaron Rodgers' team isn't winning right now, though, are they? You can look at other teams and things that have great numbers. Kirk Cousins has great numbers, but what is he winning? Whatever it is, whatever formula it is, it works with the Dallas Cowboys and has been working, and they are getting better each year. But I don't know that you've had three players that possibly, actually four if you count DeMarcus Lawrence, four players that will be in the top five probably in pay in their group at the same time. This is a modern day triplets, And, some people still have doubts about Amari Cooper. But in Amari Cooper's short time of being with the Cowboys, those 8 games, when Dak Prescott looked for Amari Cooper, the quarterback QBR was 121, led the division. And you got to think that having a full season, having an off season and a training camp and OTAs and practice with them, that should get better. The fact that you'll have a Randall Cobb, and I know people are going to double cover him, and that's fine. If they double cover him, cool. Then that means there's one less person to be in the box to stop Zeke. That means there's one less person to try and double cover Randall Cobb. It's going to be passing by committee. And I know what will happen is if his numbers come down because he is double covered more because you're focusing on him, everybody else will come up. To me, that's fine. That's a winning formula. Because you don't want to have one guy up here with, 120 catches and everybody else down here with 40. And we end up having 8-8 season. What you want to have is this guy maybe at about 80 or 90, and these guys at 70, 60, and things like that, and you're winning games and going to Super Bowls, because that's how it works. It's not about one guy being that superstar. It's about having several guys that are all really good. So the question is, if you have to pay all of these guys and you could only keep two of them, which ones would you keep? Because we were at the same situation. This is the thing that's always amazes me. I like to be a student of the game. I like to look back at the past, mainly because I got a lot of past. But look at things that have happened in the past and see where we go with it. You can think back to Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, those triplets. You could look back at Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, and Drew Pearson, those triplets. That's the Dallas Cowboys' identity. And that's what's won us Super Bowls. We had that, and we were close to getting to the NFC Championship with Dez Bryant, Tony Romo, and DeMarco Murray. That was the fourth generation of triplets. But we decided, you know what? We're going to give Dez a contract. We gave Tony Romo a contract, and we let DeMarco Murray go. Now, part of the problem, of course, in that is it was later stages of Tony Romo and Dez Bryant's career when we did this. But we lost one of those pieces. Now, Tony Romo got hurt. Dez Bryant stayed hurt. And that trio, when you thought had it all together in 2014, didn't get the opportunity to see what they could do together. So what history tells us is you want to keep all three. You want to be the triple threat. You want to be able to run the ball well. You want to be able to have a dominant wide receiver. You want to have a quarterback that takes care of business. That is the winning formula. So teams don't have one thing to focus on. But again, all three have to get paid. Quarterbacks, even though Pro Football Focus and Speak for Yourself and all these talking heads just say, just draft another quarterback. Well, understand, the Dallas Cowboys, we have been spoiled because we got lucky as crap. Because a lot of you are too young to remember after Troy Aikman or the Drew Hensons, the Chad what's-his-names, and the Quincy Carters, and the has-beens of Vinny Testaverde and Randall Cunningham, guys that passed their career, Bernie Kosars, the guys that never were. And it was just quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and none of them busted a grave. You want to know what I'm talking about? Take a look at the Washington Redskins, where they've been trying to draft quarterbacks since the 90s, or the Cleveland Browns. Maybe they finally have one with Baker Mayfield, I don't know. But Baker seems like he's kind of feeling himself quite a bit, and it may be one of those things that, he comes back down to earth. But we'll have to wait and see. That sophomore slump is a real thing. And oh, by the way, Odell Beckham cut his hair. Maybe he's getting serious now. But when we look at this, from a longevity standpoint, quarterbacks last longer than anybody else. You see Tom Brady win a Super Bowl in his 40s. You see Drew Brees in his 40s. Some of them not quite as much. Eli Manning in his late 30s is kind of downhill, but you see they play longest. And what you see in trying to draft a quarterback, if there's two good starting quarterbacks out of a draft a year, then you're doing good. And that's between 32 teams. Some years it's not even that. So drafting a quarterback that works in your system, that wins, is not as easy as everybody thinks. Wide receiver. Well, we kept trying to draft wide receivers, but we also kept trying to trade for them. Or sign free agents between T.O., trading for Roy Williams, my man from Seattle that we gave up 2 number ones for. We drafted Dez, Miles Austin, Terrence Williams and things. We've tried getting lights out wide receivers, and you don't hit that often. So getting one of those guys that are really a playmaker and dominant and work in your system isn't that easy either. So you kind of want to keep this guy. And like I said, he was number 1 in quarterback completion percentage in our division, only being there half a year. Then you get to running back. running backs definitely have the shortest shelf life in the NFL. Most running backs, and as we see, Todd Gurley had been dominant as could be, but now Todd Gurley is dealing with arthritis in the knees. Todd Gurley, we don't know how many more years he has left. You've seen great running backs that have gone 2,000 yards, and a year or two later, they're gone. So, shelf-wise, like, Zeke Elliott is going to be the shortest window. That being said, you're talking about a guy who has led the NFL in total yards over the last 3 years. So if I had to pick one of those guys not to be there, I say you can't take it. You can't lose any of them. You don't let any of them walk. What you end up doing is you figure out a way that you can make the numbers work, or you end up having to cull the roster of some of the other weight. Because let's be honest here, as much as all these people say that it's just a great defense and running game, if that were the case, then the Minnesota Vikings should have had 4 or 5 Super Bowls with Adrian Peterson, who was one of the best running backs ever in football and always had a great defense. If that were the case, that would mean that the Detroit Lions, with Barry Sanders getting 2,000 yards not once but twice, should have at least 1 Super Bowl. Let's get real now. This bashing of the quarterback and downplaying what they do is just ridiculous. It's not one guy. You got to have a guy who can throw the ball to some people who can catch the ball and hand off the ball to some people who can run the football. And with that, you need an offensive line that can block for all of these guys, because if you don't have all of those things together, then you have very little chance of winning. We've seen great wide receivers have incredible numbers, yet the team doesn't bust a grape. Why? Because they can't control the clock. We've been there. We've been there with the lights out, throwing for over 5,000 yards in a season, but don't have a running game to be able to run out the clock and win games, and end up throwing the games away. It's not a you pick and choose. No, you got to keep all 3. And that's the end of the story. You have to find a way to keep them together. Finding a modern day triplet set. Sorry. You can't just say, we'll just pick up anybody. We tried that last year with wide receivers. Doesn't work. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll who needs to go get to his day job. Later on today, we're going to be doing something fun. Something you definitely will enjoy and something you definitely don't want to miss. I'm Mark Holmes, and as always, can we just get the football season? Please. I'll see you soon.